Welcome to the Cookbook, where we invite guests on to share the ingredients of what has helped make them the successes that they are. All of it, the good, the not so good. You're not going to find anything half-baked here. And our kitchen gets messy sometimes. That's when the fun starts. So come on and join us. Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Cookbook. I'm your host, Iris Goldefeder, and I'm super excited about my guest today, Ron Ben Joseph. He's been on before, and I know a lot of you know him. He's amazing. He's awesome. He's one of the nicest guys in the world. He is the only man that I am in love with platonically. He's so smart, and he's so talented. But before we start, I want you to click, like, share, subscribe, the little bell and thingies that are down there. Please share for sure. Download. Downloads are great for us, but definitely like, share, and subscribe. And we'll get to the rest at the end of the episode. So without further ado, here's Ron. Hi.
Hi. What's happening?
Nothing. It's funny. So, Mel, right? Hershorn. We started this thing because her son was like, how come you guys always say like, I love you? Like you're women. And I said, so it was like, okay, I love you platonically. So now whenever we talk, it's like, I love you platonically. And it's pretty funny. So I said, you're one of the.
I love you. I love you so much, Iris. Iris, I love you on all levels, platonically, and maybe like a little otherwise. I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah, don't go there. Let's not.
It's fine.
No, but you're just like, I think ever since we first met, you've been like a brother, right? I mean, just, this connection. So I was telling somebody, the Dames holds a fun French usually every year. And 2 years ago, was the first year that I was running karaoke. Yeah. And I was going to start with the story from Brandi Carlile. And I didn't realize what altitude does to you. So the karaoke machine comes and I'm like, well, let me test it and I'll, see if it works. And I'm singing the story and everything's going great. And I go to hit that, high note at the end and it's gone. And I'm like, where's the note? So I find Ron, who's like in the middle of like 20 different things. I'm like, Ron, the note's gone. He's like, no, it's not. I'm like, no, it's gone. So we went into the stairwell, yeah. Right? We went into the stairwell and I'm like, the note was gone because of the altitude. Yeah. Didn't even think about it. So then I switched to, I don't know what I switched to. I think Black Horse Cherry Tree, I think.
Yeah, and the dryness, it's the dryness too. Like it really, I take it for granted because when I live in Colorado and my voice has gotten considerably higher here. Whereas when I'm back in Chicago, it's like, ooh. I mean, it's not like so deep, but it's the moisture and the lack of altitude. And yeah, so it is funny how like it impacts your voice. And it's just, this is such a great example though of, your adaptability is such a great example of something I work with people all the time on is like, when you can prepare so much, right? When you're a speaker or when you're doing like an interview or something, right? You prepare so much and you're like this, but then you get to the location, or you're flying and you're like something trips up or the technology makes a mistake or the audience is different and you have to adapt like it. So that's like I love these stories of like performers and presenters and speakers and entertainers and all the things. Like when they go to a different place and they're like, like, it's not there. Oh no,
it's gone. It's not there. It's and I love how your voice got higher because mine just like went lower.
Yeah,
it was like that note just wasn't there. So I was kind of like this instead of But and so okay, so I said Ron is very talented. He does a lot of our we have clients that are doing video production and they're really really shy. We bring Ron in to help them become unshy and get comfortable. He also helps you with keynote training. So I'm doing a keynote in September on authenticity, and we kind of worked it out. And we're going to work together probably in the next like couple of weeks. We need to start talking again because it's coming right up.
Yeah.
And it's just so funny when you have somebody who's who's so good at making you feel comfortable. Because I've worked with people that, they're like, you have to do this, and you're just not like that. You're just like, you're such a cheerleader for people that it's like in our minds, there's no way we can fail because you're such a cheerleader that it just makes us feel so, oh my God, I can pretty much do anything. Well, a lot of people know you, but a lot of people don't. So why don't you, because I don't do bios anymore, tell our audience about you and who you are.
So thank you. So like everything, I'll kind of use your setup. Right? Thank you for that awesome setup as like the way to like introduce it. I grew up with a dad that wasn't that, and it was like one of the greatest gifts of all. Like when I'm in a healthy place, I'm being positive about it. I'm like, whenever anyone says to me like, "Oh, you're so positive, you're such a cheerleader," I'm like, I literally think that my coaching style grew out of the way I was brought up, which is criticism and breakdown and, oh, this isn't good. And, I once got hired to direct an opera after years of directing theater. And my dad loves opera and he loves classical music. I'm like, dude, I got this opportunity. It was first thing out of his mouth. What do you know about opera? I'm like, it's people, it's music, it's story. I'll figure it out, man. Right. So, and he's like, you don't know anything about it. Like, so everything I do is like, it's like pausing that moment and going, how do you switch and go, that's amazing. Like, so tell me more. Like, what are you most excited about with the opera? How are you going to bring the work you've done over here to here? And that's whenever I hear clients talk. And I think that's honestly, like, not to toot my own horn, but in the work I do as a presentation skills coach, as a media trainer, as a director, I'm listening for what works versus what doesn't. Because so many speaking coaches and communication skills trainers, they have their system, and that's great. And I have a system. The system goes, how do I find out what you want, what's standing in the way you getting it, and how do I bring it out of you, right? Like in a way that's conducive for you. So I'll try different things. I'll tell personal stories, and sometimes it doesn't work. I had a client yesterday, and I saw her be like, this isn't working for me, So we try something else, right? Like, but the idea is like, whatever you need, because you're the star, you're the one that has to do it. This is from my years as a theater director and as a performer myself. I'm like, at the end of the day, you as the speaker, you as the performer, you as the presenter, you as the person, the leader, the thought leader that has to get in front of camera, in front of cameras or interviews. I'm like, you're the one that has to perpetuate it. You're the one that has to bring whatever it is that you're sharing to life. And so to impose something on you, like a system or a structure that is so not conducive to you, it doesn't make sense. And like, especially like someone like you, who's such a star, who has so much energy, right? Like Iris, we love you for your personality and your charm and your vivacity and your charisma. To pigeonhole you into like, it's a beginning, middle, and end structure where you have to do this and that, right? So, and I think most leaders, we go into leadership, we go into entrepreneurship, we become leaders, not because we were able to follow rules and be told what to do. So that's my whole coaching structure is based on that premise of how do you prepare? Like, how do you as a star prepare? How do you recognize what you want to say and then say it in a way that is so authentic and so powerful that you can replicate it every time in a way that's authentic, organic, conversational, and appropriate for this audience?
Well, I remember, so this was like so funny. We met 3 years ago, 2 years ago, whatever. And
I would say almost 4 years ago.
No, because I've only been in the Dames for 3 years.
Oh, okay. So 3. I'll give you 3. I'll give you 3.
But what was interesting was, I was like, okay, I want to work with you. So we have our first meeting and we're on Zoom. And he says, why do you want to work with me? And, oh no, I said, I want to work with you. And he goes, why? And I said, I don't know. I mean, I want to start speaking. I want to, do the thing. And he goes, I don't think it's going to work. And I'm like, what do you mean it's not going to work? And he goes, I don't know. I just, there's something. And then he said, he goes, what kind of music do you like? And I'm like, the fuck does that have to do with, I want to work with you. And he goes, no. Well, kind of. So I have this, because of COVID, there was this, you couldn't sing, right? We couldn't go out and do things. So I found this app, and feel free to sponsor me, called Carafun. And it's like a karaoke app. So I have all my favorites in that I like to sing and stuff. And, he goes, well, what songs do you like? So I'm like, I don't know. So I pull out the karaoke app and I'm, going through the songs. And actually it was Black Horse Cherry Tree, I think was the first one. Oh no, it was Make You Feel My Love was the first one. And he goes, so what's your favorite song on there? And I said, Make You Feel My Love. He goes, sing it. And I went, but he goes, just sing it. I ended up singing for 45 minutes. He's like, oh, that song is great. Your passion is there. I can feel this. Do another song. And I'm like, I'm doing all these songs. And then finally I'm like, what the hell does this have to do with you not wanting to work with me? Like, why don't you want to work with me? And he goes, why do you want it? And I said, because I want to get better. And he goes, okay.
I know, this is how I roll.
And I was going to kill you. I was like, well, I don't even understand. And I think in the beginning, I thought that I wanted it.
Yeah.
But at the end, I knew that I wanted it. And you got me to that place by freaking singing. I mean, I literally gave him a free concert. I charged to sing. I'm just saying. All right. So he got a free 45-minute concert. But it was just so interesting the way that, you led me there. And then, that was it. And I was referring people to you left and right because I was like, oh my God, this was like, amazing. And it was. And then when I, really got serious about keynote speaking, it was like, okay, let's do this.
I thank you for bringing that up. I love you so much. Oh my God. But yeah, like in the moment, I'm being honest. I'm like, I just don't know if I can help. Like, right. Like it's earnest. I have 2 modes or 3. The first one is if I don't like you, I'm like, it's 10:40 or 2:41 right now. I got a 2:47. I have to prepare for it. Like I got to go.
Like 6 minutes.
Like, right. But it's like, no one has a 2:47, right? Like it's 2:30 or 3 or right. It's not right. But so I have that mode where I'm like, if I don't like you.
So if you ever work with him and he's like, I have a 2:47.
Yeah.
He doesn't like you.
I don't like you.
Yeah.
And that's much to the chagrin of my bank account. Then it's like, if I don't see the way in, I'm like, I don't know. Right. Like, and it's, I just know from directing, it's like when you take on a project, like you want to be the perfect person to tell the story. When I was younger, I would take anything and any client, and you learn like that. Sometimes you learn how to like, not everyone's for you. Right. And I'm certainly not for everyone. Right. And I want to make sure that I'm the right fit for you. So I go, I don't know. So it's like totally honest. It's not like a shticky thing. It's totally honest where I'm like, I don't know. Like, I don't see my way in. I don't know that I'm the perfect person to play this part or to direct this play. And then when I saw you singing and I could see that, like, I could see you were showing me what you wanted to do as a performer.
Because it was different songs and you were picking like different songs to see the different way I think I sang them and reacted to the
and how you were acting and how you were like showing up and how you were like how you were connected to your core passion and personality and charisma and all the things I love to see about you, so there's that. Or if I see it instantly, sometimes I'll be like my eyes light up and I'm like, hide your credit card right now, can I sell you hard? And then people are like, yeah, sell me hard, it's fine. And I'll be okay, I'm gonna go hard sell. Here's what I want to do with you. Boom. So it really, it's like the spectrum. And I think that's how the majority of us I shouldn't say the majority of us. That's how a lot of us, I think, should roll as service providers. Like you can smell it when someone is a coach who just coaches anyone, or is a consultant that just works with anyone and anyone who has a breath. Like I'm not that guy. Like I need to know, like, why am I the best person to help you right now? I don't know. Yeah. Maybe you can help me. I don't know. Right. Like,
yeah. And we do the same thing. Like we don't, much to my wife's chagrin, we don't just work with anybody.
Right.
And she's like, well, that's stupid. Everybody's money is green. I'm like, yeah, but not everybody's time. It's like, it's some people cost more money, exactly, right? Than what they're paying you. So that's what I kind of go on. And we moved to a new model to where we take on 4 projects a month. And when somebody signs a contract, they have to have things to us by a certain time. If they don't have them to us by a certain time, then they get pushed to the next month, because we have people, that are getting the stuff to us on time that we need to get done. So, we had that happen with a client, and they didn't get us the stuff on time, but they were like, they were like a week late or whatever, but that pushes everything back. Right. And they were frustrated. They were like, well, I have it. And I'm like, I can do it, but, I have to charge more because now my people have to stay more, to get the thing done. So, can we do it? Yeah, but now it's going to cost more. So, right. And what that did was I think it's a value thing. I think that, when we work with the wrong people, it ends up being not fun.
Yep.
Right. And I'm really trying to come from a joyful place. And if I'm working with somebody it's not fun, it's not joyful. And so that right there is, bad. But the other thing too is when people don't get you stuff on time, that to me is a show of a lack of respect of your time. Mm-hmm. I don't want to work with them.
Right.
So that's why we put this stuff in place now. And by putting it in place, it's beautiful because we get all the assets that we need when we need them. We get the project done on time, and it goes like this. And then there's like a little bit of a waiting list, which is fantastic, that's right? Cool. It's a beautiful thing. And it's like,
it's a great model. Yeah.
It's so instead of a bottleneck, it's like an attrition thing. Okay, we're done with, if it's just a website's done. Okay, great. If it's website and SEO, well, then that's ongoing. That's monthly. That's, that's just making, more room for the capacity. Mm-hmm. So hiring, more people to get the job done. But what I realized was when we work with those people that kind of suck our fun out, we're not being fair to ourselves. Mm-mm. And then we're unhappy. And you don't need that crap.
And I'm not good at that crap. Like I want to be good at what I do, right? That's why I'm doing it. Every year in July I say this. I'm like, if a job like magically appeared in front of me and a company wanted to hire me full time with a salary so I don't have to fucking go out and sell all day, like great, I'm here for it, right? Every July I say this. But concurrently, or on the other side of that, I should say, is like no, right? Like when we work for ourselves, we have that agency to be like, I can help you. I have to help you. It's in my core, right? Like, and then it's this mutually shared experience where we're both at our best. And I think that's what I love. Yeah, that's what I do love about being a business owner,
Yeah, and you just have this way to, like, I'm going to use Michelle as, an example. Oh my God. Like you did such a job with her, and she is just so good and fluid at what she's doing. So Kofi and I were doing this sizzle reel, and it ended up being, a bit of a cluster because I am not, like, we should have just had a B-roll person there and things would have been different, but I was doing B-roll, which I never should ever do again. But I ended up, like, she was talking and I was like this.
Wow. Yeah.
And Kofi's like, camera. And I'm like, oh crap. And then I'm like, shaky with the camera so that, wasn't good. Although in Denver, because you were there, we had everything set up nice and that came out amazing. Thank you, God.
But
that whole thing was a cluster. That was just like, but Michelle is so eloquent.
Yeah.
And she is so
smart and
smart.
So smart. Yeah.
And engaging, and like when she does the dragon boat thing, she does the thing. Like people are on, Team Skyrocket, man. They are there and they are doing the clappy thing, and they're doing whatever the hell she's telling them to do. They are doing.
Yep.
Like if there was a loop in the middle of the room, and she was like, "Okay, now each table is going to take a turn, and you're going to jump through the loop a certain way," they would do it.
Yep.
They would do it. because she is that engaging, and she always had the personality, but she didn't have that confidence. And working with you really just made all the difference.
I love hearing that. Like, thank you. Because confidence is something I indulge in my lack of confidence. You know what I mean? Like on stage, like my whole stage persona is not confident. It's self-deprecating. It's all this stuff. And then people ride me on it. Like my clients who see me perform, they're like, you need to move away from that. And I'm like, no, but this is my place to share that, And I think, again,
this is my shtick. Yeah.
This is my shtick. It's my act, but it's also like confidence, I think, has become a huge part of the work that I do with clients because, and with students, especially now, when I do workshops or groups or classes, is like, how do you fake it till you make it? How do you find that certitude and that conviction in your speech if you're terrified? And that's what you learn as an actor or as a comedian or a singer, sure. Right? You're like, you got to sell it. Like one of my favorite examples is like Roger Daltrey from The Who, right? So phenomenal singer. One of my favorite singers of all time. And yet he didn't come into his own like until like 10 years into performing when he got Tommy, when they were writing, or Pete Townsend wrote Tommy, and now he's performing it at Woodstock and he has this charismatic, like powerful character, right? But I was like, if it took him 10 years, like, it can take anyone 20 years. Like it takes so long to find that truth. So I'm like, we have to, for clients, we have to expedite that process, especially when they're out there. Like I love the public speaking that my clients do, where it's always trying to help others. It's always teaching others how to make their lives better. And I'm like we acknowledge the lack of confidence. We bring out the insecurities, the imposter syndrome, all that. But then we have very clear, successful ways to override it or work with it, to bring it out. I have so many clients that are therapists, and they're like, "You're a therapist for therapists," because we work through that insecurity, the fear, the doubt, the imposter, and then we go, how do you present and how do you show up fully authentic and fully empowered, And so my own struggle with confidence, so I'm still single at almost 70. People are like, I'm like, how does that guy, like I have a buddy who was just awful from elementary school. He's a terrible person. He's not buddy anymore, but he's like people I know, and I'm like, how does that person get all the ladies, And confidence, but so at least in the work.
So I'm looking up because I'm like, I can't remember his name, which is like insane. But Jim Morrison.
Yeah, right? He used to turn his back to his audience.
He used to turn his back to the audience, like because he was so petrified.
Yeah.
And only when he was on enough drugs could he like actually turn around and look at them, or like when the heroin hit him, he'd be like, okay, now I can look at you.
Right.
Which was I couldn't believe I'm like, okay, it's the Doors. I know. I can't remember his. Anyway. And what I find really interesting with performing, I had a drummer who was like, you never turn your back to the audience. Like he got pissed off when I would like look at him and I would be like counting and having fun and dancing. He'd be like, turn around. And I was like, no. I'm interacting with the band. I mean, what,
right.
And we'll, any concert I've ever gone to, they turn around and Taylor Swift, for the love of God, she's like, anybody does. He really pissed me off. I was like,
well, the hard rules. I love it that there's hard rules for performing. I don't know hard rules. Like when I'm directing a play, sorry to cut you off though. That's a real trigger for me. These hard rules. You never do this on stage. In theater, when you're in a theater production, the rules are just like, they flow like water. I mean, it's like they rain rules, and I'm like, what fucking rules? Like what? How about a new rule where someone makes money here? like for the fact that
that's a good rule,
right? For the fact that we're not making money at this, I'm like, there really shouldn't be any rules. Like it should be like as long as everyone's safe and in the same world, like as long as every actor is speaking with the same verisimilitude, like the same commitment to the imaginary circumstance and the same belief that it's real. Like as long as everyone's real.
New word, folks, verisimilitude. I never heard that before.
Never heard that word?
No, verisimilitude? No. Now I have.
It's there's a story, Richard Donner, who directed the first Superman movie. He had it on his desk. It was written on like a plaque or something on his desk. And that was the mantra for that first Superman movie, because their thesis was, you'll believe a man could fly Because up until then, you never believed it in every incarnation before. And so that word stuck with me whenever I was directing. And then to this day, when I'm coaching speakers, it's like this notion of really believing and committing. And that also adds the confidence and the powerful expression. If you're in this world of verisimilitude where you believe the imaginary circumstances and you're making them real, the audience will believe it.
Oh, 100%. Well, and it's funny because, I'm starting I'm starting it with The Middle, right? By Jimmy Eat World.
Yeah.
And I'm doing it because I think it's going to be amazing for the audience to be able to, get up and move around and just kind of, shake and dance and sing. But for me, it's going to take the edge off because I can sing in front of however many people I can sing in front of. But talking in front of, that many people is like, whew, okay. I think is this airing after I speak? Let's see when this is airing. This is airing, right before I speak. Let's delete that. No, don't. I don't care. No, honestly, I mean, I'm very authentic, and it's going to be interesting, but I also know it's going to be fun because once I'm, when I get up and I sing, I'll sing like, 2 lines of the first, verse. I know by that second line, if the audience is interested or if I'm okay, right? Because if I'm not okay, then the audience isn't going to be okay. And by and large, it's like usually the first 5 words. I'm like, okay, I'm good because they're, like this. And I know that that's what's going to happen with that. And I know it's going to be amazing. And like, I'm really looking forward to it. I'm actually super excited about it. And when I look at it, because like, I brought it to Julie Lord, I interviewed her on this as well. And she's the one who invited me to speak. We were at the Steel Conference in Nashville this year. And okay, that's new. We were at the Steel Con. Does that work? No. For those of you who are listening and not watching on YouTube, I put my thumb up and like this thumb bubble came up. Anyway, and it got my ADD just all messed up. Okay. So, but, so I showed her the presentation. She was like, it's a little early, no? Like it's May. And I said, September is going to be here tomorrow. It's like, we're in May, June, July, August. September's here. Like, so I'm doing it ahead of time. And, the feedback that I got on it was really interesting. And it was about, people still have to play the game, like as far as being authentic and, all of that. And I'm thinking, yes, I get that you still have to play the game, but why? Right? And yes, there's risk, but if there's no risk, there's no reward. So I'm working on, and we'll talk about that probably in the next week or so. Because I want to.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, because I want to rework a couple of things.
Yeah.
But when I think about it, it's like, for me, being on stage for me it's natural. Like I have the podcast, right? I'm a musician. Whatever. And then I see people that they aren't comfortable, and it's amazing to watch. I had there was somebody. She's not on yet because she was actually getting ready to do some coaching, and she's. I don't even know where she's from, but she already had stuff lined up, or it would have been you. But in our pre-call, she was nervous talking to me, and I said, so, what about this is intimidating, for you? Well, I'm not intimidated. Okay. What about this makes you nervous? Okay, well, maybe I guess I am intimidated. and and it's just funny how, when you frame things differently, right? People hear things differently. And, we're talking and we're just having, a conversation. I said, so this is it. I mean, we are literally having a conversation. And I said, have you seen the podcast? Well, no, I've been meaning to. I said, that's fine. I said, you know what? I said, watch an episode of the podcast and then let's talk again and see if, it's something that, you want to do. And so she was like, well, do you not want me on? And I said, that has nothing to do with it. I said, you don't seem comfortable and I don't want you to be uncomfortable. I said, because I could talk to anybody. I mean, we had TJ Walker on. I never met him. He was like one of the first people that didn't do a pre-call, and he didn't do the pre-call because he thought I was going to sell him on it. And, and we didn't find that out until after. And I was like, I don't sell on, I don't make money on this. This isn't like, this is my passion project. I lose money on this, but, for me, I love being able to talk to different people and have them tell their stories. So,
but you bring up a good point, which is that definitely there's naturals out there for sure. I was not one of them. I was a natural MC for some reason. Like one of my first jobs was emceeing bar mitzvahs and weddings and parties and stuff. Working for an MC company, like a DJ company, but and my mom was always producing events in the place where she worked, and so she would always bring me on, and I was like, cool, whatever, and so, but acting, performing, comedy, certainly, improv, awful, like everything. Theater, directing came naturally, but performing was not natural, and then singing especially was not natural for me at all. And it took me years, literally, it wasn't until I was about 30, 31 that I started being able to sing on stage.
You sing so well.
Thank you so much. But it's so funny. It's like so this is a great way to say it. So not as a natural, but what was the thing for me was I learned to sing through doing this mask, where I created a sketch character, a Neil Diamond impersonator named Chris Zirconia. And because I loved impersonation shows, and I talk about this in my show, I talk about it all the time. But I created this character, and he could sing, and his voice was lower than mine. So he was like right here, and he's like, I got a song been on my mind, and singing baritone and singing lower and like singing with the swagger and all that. I just jumped musically exponentially. And I did this in comedy clubs in Chicago for years, for like 2 years, and just got all this experience of singing. And I was like, and one night my buddy who ran a comedy show, he goes, hey, I need you to sing for my show, to be my musical opener for 30 minutes. Do a 30-minute set with your guitar, but don't be the character. And I'm like, what, like me sing? And he's like, yeah, you sing. And it was terrifying. This was like 2 years into performing this bit. And there I was singing, and I was terrified, and I was like, oh my God, because my whole life I just wanted to sing. But it wasn't until I did this character that got me out of my head. And again, in the character, he didn't care if he was off pitch. He didn't care if he missed a note or forgot the chord. He just laughed through it or worked through it, And so doing that character that I wrote, like it wasn't like I could just be in another person's show, but doing the character that I wrote, that I had control over, that I had mastery of, that was the lens that I could kind of come at it from. And that was like that was my way in, just like we talked before about coaching, is like, that's my way in. And so that taught me again, like, what do we need to do for people that aren't innately speakers or aren't innately presenters or gregarious, charming, over the top, orators. And there's always a way to find what it is that you are authentic at, right? So maybe you're really good as an introvert, like maybe you're really good at one-on-one conversations. Well, how do we adapt what you're doing in your coaching one-on-one to a larger audience? I would say it's an audience of 1/1000s or 1/100, or, like connecting with one person. How do you create that one-on-one dialogue so it doesn't feel like all the pressure's on you and you have to get up there and like just be, oh, yes, I'm going to lead you now, So I think to your point about like, some people are natural, some people are not. Like, I do believe that what they say, champions are created in the gym. I think Muhammad Ali said something like that, right? Like I believe no matter how hard, like I have a really, I mean, it's so funny, this business I have, like Artful Speaking. I mean, the number 2 or number 1 fear that people have is public speaking, right? And then most businesses fail. And then on top of it, coaching, right? Like I have a fucking public speaking coaching business. It's absurd when I think about it. When I stop and I think about it,
it's great.
It's terrifying, but I see the results. People transform in our sessions, in our classes. People transform, and they go from like you said, the woman that you're talking, where it's like, I'm not awkward. Don't call me out on it. Don't hold a mirror up, to like them not being like somewhere beyond the sea, but being like, yeah, so here's what I do. Here's how it works, and here's how you benefit, right? They get really, they speak with conviction. They get really laser beam focused, and they present as confident, So it's. I love that you said that. Yeah, a lot of people are not natural, but man, people can be taught if they're taught organically in a way that addresses their unique voice. Everybody has a unique voice.
Yeah, and I'll go back to Michelle, and she's going to be like, "Oh my God, why is this whole episode about me?" But
because we love you, Michelle. We love you.
We love you so much. When she started doing video, and it was funny because I was looking at, I was talking to a prospective client last week, and I said, there's a transformation that you go through, if you're not comfortable with it, to when you get comfortable with it. And this particular person, was very comfortable. They've done it before. And I used Michelle as an example. And I said, we have this coach that we were working with. And then I had this other coach that I was working with that was a guy that just, he went from night to day. He got really, really good by the time we parted ways. But Michelle, I remember the first time she did it, she was like, okay, do I look okay? Am I doing okay? And I have that very first video. And then I look at the one that she, where we just finished. And one of them was she and I talking about how we're doing keynote speaking now, which is pretty cool. But, to just see the way that she interviews people, because, I wasn't there because I got my schedule messed up, which, but I mean, I've seen the video, and, she's gotten so good at that, right? Having people on and talking to them about the things that matter. And, I'm going to take a little bit of credit there. I think me and Kofi are going to definitely, because she's just so, and then now for the next thing to be, the public speaking. Yeah. That she's just so freaking amazing at. And that's, with your work.
You bring up a good point. Obviously in the last 5 years we're at 2025 right now. So last 5 years since COVID, the forum and the format of long form interviews and all these avenues for speakers, for coaches, for consultants, for people, heart-centered entrepreneurs to get out there, service providers, to get out there and share, and help others. And the stuff that you could only get 10, 15 years ago, coaching was just kind of becoming a thing, but it's you'd get the book or the CD or whatever, right? But now we have so much access, readily accessible content that you can just go on YouTube and go, or I can ask my AI, how do I blah, 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 blah. Well, that the AI is assessing all the content that's out there, right? And so I think there's no better time to be a speaker or a podcaster or a video content creator, because I'm like this. I feel like this is the new stuff that people are yearning for, right? I've seen the contrast, the numbers, TikTok, Instagram, the hours that people are spending on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube far exceed going to the movies and watching television, which is unheard of, right? That's insane. 50 years ago, you would have never been able to convince me that was going to happen. And so I think like to create content now, like, so we've been speaking about the performance side, but like on the content side, like for coaches, consultants, therapists, and anyone that wants to share their leadership, their expertise, like, I'm like, there's no better time, and it's so warranted. It's so necessary to like share like how you solved your problem, how you got to where you got to. Like, I just love it. So when you talk about like, when I think about her podcast, like her as an executive coach, as a leader, I'm just like, like, I just love that she has the forum to express herself and her genius, and that people can, like, people who are watching this show can go watch her show and go, oh my God, like they can get so much out of both of you, So I just love that. I love this art form more than anything I've ever worked on, like from theater to film to whatever, comedy. I just like when you all, like you being like coaches, consultants, therapists, all this, when you guys like get up there and share your stories and share your expertise and your solutions, I just don't know anything better. I just love it. I love it so much. I think it's so cool. It's the new theater. It's the new film, obviously. It's the new entertainment, edutainment.
Yeah. And I, what I find, COVID started this whole thing, right? I mean, we were doing Skype before COVID and all that stuff, but, COVID really forced our hand. Because there was no other way to, unless you were going to be, a jackass and go out and infect people, you had to be home.
Right.
I'm just calling it what it is. Yeah. And Skylar agrees. But, I think that when this medium became a necessity, it was, I signed up for Nina's thing, and I got comfortable on video, and my whole thing was, like Kofi was trying to get me to do video for probably like 2 years before video became cool, and I was like, no, because for me it was like for all the all the Hollywood stars and the pretty people and, all that. And I never considered myself, I think I'm, okay looking, but I don't think I'm like striking or anything. And for me, I felt that striking people had to be on video. And the realization for me was hilarious because, I did this thing with Nina and, 2 months in, because I think I started in April and then June. And, I think the salon didn't open up until like July or August, but June, everybody looked like shit. It didn't matter. Nobody had a haircut in like 5 months, right? I had my Bonnie Raitt streak, going, like everybody, it didn't matter. And when that became the norm, it was like, oh, people want to hear the message. They don't care how you look. I mean, obviously you don't want to show up in a ripped t-shirt and, whatever, although some people did.
I just recorded, funny enough, I just recorded a video that I'm going to post next week as of this recording, where I am wearing a wrinkly t-shirt, but I was in the car and I had to record it, and I call it out. I'm like, it's easy to wear nice clothes, but I'm in a car right now. I had to run errands. Anyway, here's what I want you to know,
Well, and I did a video on, it was, let me see if I can, it was, it's not going to pull up. No, it was, will it pull up? No. Okay. So I did a video and I was in a t-shirt. So I always wore polo shirts, right? Polo shirts was like my thing and all that. It was a t-shirt that said, it was a Life is Good shirt, and it was like virtual meeting, and it had a dog with like a, sitting in front of a computer because, I'm all about dogs. So I said, do you take me more seriously if I'm in a t-shirt or in a polo shirt or in a tailored shirt? Like, does that matter? Or does my message matter? And a lot of people were like, huh. And there were some people that were on the fence because they were still, stuck in the corporate land, right? Where they were like, well, you wear a tailored shirt or a suit. And I'm like, I'm recording from my fucking, I'm not wearing a suit.
Right.
Not happening. And then, it just got to the point that, people were just putting out content and being themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and being authentic.
Yeah.
And that was like the whole, it was like, look, this is how I look. When Fabienne Raphael, some of you people know her, right? Some don't. And she's actually going to be on again, I think, in the next month. Yeah.
Oh, tell her I say hi. I love her.
I will. She's I adore her. But when she was going to be on, she's comes into the studio and she's like, I don't know if we can do a whole hour. My son is with me, and he melts down after a half hour. I said, so bring him on. And she was like, what do you mean? I said, bring him. This is life.
Right.
This is, if my dog, they're not allowed in the office, but they will be probably in the next, few weeks, arranging stuff so they can come in, because they look at me through this gate, 8 hours a day. But I was like, bring him in. And she was like, oh. So, a half hour came. Sure enough, here comes Theo, right? And then she gave him an iPad. He went under the blanket and was picking out and he was making noise and stuff. And I was like, just keep going. And we got done with the episode, and it was amazing because Theo was in the room with her, so he was happy, right? Yeah. She felt the freedom that she could just be comfortable and do her thing and not have to worry that he's downstairs or he's going to knock on the door or, whatever. And after the fact, she said, I really want to thank you. And I was like, for what? And she said, you literally gave me the freedom and the permission to show up for any podcast that I do, and to know that it's okay, because this is life now. And I went, you're welcome. But it should never even been an issue. And the fact that people made it an issue, to me, kind of, got me a little cranky, right? I was like, why should she have to worry about her kid?
Right.
And now people are like, instead of leaving their kids home when they go to work, now they're bringing their kids into the business. They're not, just like finding daycare or whatever. I've spoken to so many moms now that, their children are part of the business, and the kids are learning stuff, right? It's like this whole, new way to be. And I think we have so much more, for now, freedom, right?
Yes. For now.
See what I did there? But seriously, I really think that with this, it's not new, there's a new medium, right? That we can really just tap into all of the authenticity and all of the coolness, right? All of the different things. So, and you help people get comfortable with that.
Thank you. Yeah. Like, comfort is huge, and comfort comes in that, like, confidence of, like, knowing that you can solve the problem, knowing that you can adapt, like we talked about earlier, and just knowing that your message is clear and tight, that there is an idea worth sharing. So yeah, like, thank you. Like, comfort is huge, because when do we ever feel comfortable?
And I think the other thing is when you have a platform to speak, there's somebody out there that is supposed to be hearing what you're saying. So if you're, being hired to do a keynote, clearly, there's a message. But, on like this podcast, what I love about this is that I know that there's somebody out there today who's listening to this that is going to need to hear something that we're talking about. There's going to be something that they're like, oh man, I really needed to hear that. And I feel so honored and privileged to be able to have a platform to do that, right? And so there are a lot of people out there that have a message that needs to get out, that they're afraid. They don't know how to get the message out. And that's what you do. And that's huge.
I recently did a video where I'm like, I'm so sick of not working with you. And again, like we have to see if we're a good fit, but I'm just so sick of not working with you. You being the audience member who has that issue. What you just said, Iris, I'm like, that person was like, I care so much and I'm so passionate and I want to get this out there, but I don't know how. I'm like, please, like, let's just get on a call. It will be so much easier. Let's just like work together. I'm like begging. It sounds like I'm like pathetically begging. I'm like, please, let me make your life so much easier. Let's find your message. Let's find your voice. Like, you don't have to struggle. You don't have to like be overwhelmed and shut down. Leave that for the amateurs. Like, you're going to get hired. You're going to get work. Like, you're going to book speaking opportunities. Let's just really fine tune that shit. Come on. I'm done.
I mean, 100%. I mean,
I have no anymore for this.
No, I mean, for me and I'm comfortable on stage to be like, I need help with this.
Yeah.
I mean, if I need help, there's probably a lot of people out there that,
That's what a lot of people are surprised about. And this is not to deter. I work with cool people. I work with awesome people. I work with heart-centered people. And I have a friend who, she's like, wait, I don't really like, so you don't work with new people? I'm like, no, I definitely work with new people. But I'm like, surprisingly, new people being like people who, like we just said, are like, I want to do it. I don't know how. But you'd be surprised, or I'm surprised, and she's surprised, with how many of my clients are actually speakers. Like they already have the gigs booked. You don't have to have the gig booked to work with me, but a lot of the speakers they've been speaking for years, and either their performances feel stilted or stiff, or they just want to use more humor or somehow open up more authenticity, or they're just like, I have a new speech and I don't know how to wrap my mind around this content. So it's like it really, a lot of the speakers are already established. And you'd be surprised that they would need a speaking coach, but just like any good athlete, like you need a coach to work. I mean, I'm not selling this audience on coaches, but like every coach needs a coach, like it's true. And so to have a director who cares about you and sees your star quality and brings it out of you, I'm like, that's what we do. It's like we get tight, we get authentic, we get organic, we get like super supportive around your unique voice. But yeah, like I'm just like, I get worked up. I'm like, come on, like, let's go. I want you to be famous. I want you to get on stage and just like open up, expand, like own that shit. Let's go.
Yeah, and it's like, find a story, right? Mm-hmm. Like find that story that's going to
the hook.
Yeah, that's going to connect. I mean, that's what, because I think I have everything pretty well. I think we'll see when we meet, but but that story that that's going to resonate and that they're going to remember when they leave.
Yep.
I think it's just such a big part of it. So what being an entrepreneur,
I don't like it.
Is but what made you decide to become an entrepreneur? And what advice do you have for somebody who's thinking about becoming an entrepreneur?
Don't do it. And like, I'm not trying to be a cranky old man. Like, I just like, oh God, I won't lie. Like, I struggle with this one. What made me decide? So funny enough, I come from a family of entrepreneurs. My dad won the Entrepreneur of the Year award in 2006. My sister had a very successful medical practice in Chicago. She's a doctor. So they did good with one child.
She's a doctor.
Bobal is a doctor. My brother-in-law is a very successful entrepreneur. He has a real estate company that he started from scratch, and very successful. And so that was the world I came in from. And when I started, my whole goal was just to be a director, a theater director in Chicago, directing rock musicals, because that's cool. Tommy, Jesus Christ Superstar, all this stuff, right? So I was like, that's going to be my niche. That's going to be my thing. And the concept of having to work up the ranks. Like I did it. It's funny. I did it in high school where I started off not getting cast and never getting cast. And I was like, I don't like this at all. And eventually I learned to like work within the system, and I became very close with my theater mentor, with the high school theater teacher. But after college or after high school, I was like, I can't go through that again. And maybe it was anxiety, maybe it was, I don't know, who knows, right? But I was like, I can't go through that. So leading up to my story about how I discovered entrepreneurship, I first discovered sales. And so one night I was reading this book about all these directors that I admired, and they all had directed. I was 19 at this point. They'd all had directed by 18. And I was like, I'm falling short. I felt the timing. So I looked at it at the time. At the time we had magazines. See, it was all listed. And so I had an American Theater magazine, and in the back was a list of all these theaters all over the country. And I was like, well, I was like, there's a magazine here, there's a phone here, let's combine the two. So I pick up the phone, I called this theater in Boston. And I'm in Chicago at the time, so I don't know why Boston. But I'm like, hey, how do you become an assistant director? And they're like, you have to be an intern first. I was like, no one told me that was I didn't intern. I barely graduated high school. So I'm like, intern. That was it. That's all I needed. Then I created like a lead sheet, with all the numbers of all these theaters in town and I was living in a theater town in Chicago, right? So I had this book. We had this thing called The Book, and it had all the theater companies. So I would just check off the list, like just cold call. And then I booked like a bunch of internships at big theaters. I worked for David Schwimmer's theater company, Looking Glass, and this other theater called Northlight, which was a huge theater at the time. Still is a very big theater. And I worked on world premieres, and I worked in the marketing office, and I was selling, and I was doing all these things. It was great. But by like a few months into it, I was like, okay, I need to direct now. So I started producing, and I produced my own show. I was working for a theater company. I convinced the artistic director to let me produce and direct a production of Hair. They'd never done a musical, like a big musical. No. They did like Charlie Brown or something, but I was like, I want to do a big musical. So never directed a full show before, and here I am directing Hair, and so I saw that if I use the phone, if I have the vision, use the phone, and then get people excited about that vision, shit gets done. And so that was kind of the beginning of it. It was never like a decision. It was never like I should be an entrepreneur or I'd be so curious. I had no other options. I eventually got hired to direct, and it never worked out. Like it never, and nobody had an issue with me. I had a directing career. Like it was going to happen. No one had an issue with me. I didn't like it. I didn't like having a producer yell at me or tell me I needed to be somewhere. And it's like, it was crazy. I'm crazy. Like I was at auditions for a show I was working on at a theater company in Chicago. And it was like a panel of us directors that were casting for the season. And this woman walked in, and I really thought she'd be good for this one part in the play that I was directing. And so I was like, wait, hold on. And I went off and started working with her. And I come back. I thought they were seeing other people. I thought they were continuing the audition process. And they were like this whole row of people were staring at me like I'm an asshole. And I didn't mean to, and they were like, "What? Are you done?" And I'm like, "Oh my God, you guys, I'm so sorry. I thought you'd continue. I had to go work with her, Like, it's just how my ADD brain worked, or my entitlement or whatever. I don't know. As an artist, like when I'm directing, I can't see anything. I see the vision. So all that to say, I just saw that for me, what worked was creating my own opportunities. If I had a vision, if I got on the phone, and if I got the right people excited about it, stuff got done. So I tried for years applying for jobs, and I got my master's eventually, and I started teaching and teaching college speech. And again, it was like, I want to work for you, but I didn't have the right master's. I didn't have enough classes. I didn't have this or that. I don't know. It never worked out. The only thing that worked out was me having my own business, me getting out there. And my dad said it eloquently once. He's like, when you have a job, because you're assured, the only thing you're assured of is that you're going to get a paycheck in 2 weeks, but you're not guaranteed anything after that. Right. He's like, when you have your own business, you're assured that you can get on the phone and go out and sell or go to a networking event, So I struggle with it every day. But if there was any advice to answer your question that I would give an entrepreneur is don't do it. But if you have to do it, if you have this thing that like you have to do, if you have a vision and no one else, like there's no job that does what I want. Mm-hmm. I would be, if there was a job that paid a decent living where I could do exactly what I'm really good at, I would do it all day long. I would do it. I don't need to sell. That's not my passion. It's just something I know how to do. But if there's something that you, as the audience member, like if you have something that you need to do, no one else is doing it your way, or if you did it for someone else, they tell you to do it a different way. I'm like, then just literally, it really does boil down to getting on the phone. Just get on the phone, whether it's literally on the phone or on LinkedIn, emailing people or going to networking events. You're such a great networker, right? Like it's all about who you know, not what you know. So that's like my biggest thing I tell my kid all the time. Like, I'm like, it's all about getting out there, meeting the right people, building those connections, having that support system, having the pipeline, all that. It's sales, sales, sales. I love marketers. I love operations people. I love finance people. I love strategy people. All I know is, and I hate it, but all I know is selling. Like, all I know is get out and sell. Then you have a business. You don't have sales, you don't have a business. So
interesting. Well, it's true. If you don't have sales, you don't have a business, right? Because you have to have a pipeline, and if you don't have a pipeline, and it's scary. I mean, it can be scary, when you're looking and you're like, oh, I have a pipeline. All of a sudden, it's like, oh.
I know that's the part. That's the part, right, where you're like, oh my God, this is awesome. It's like April, and you're so busy. But the busier you are, you're not out hustling and selling. And I know we're not supposed to be hustling, but we're not out selling. We're not having meetings. We're busy fulfilling orders. And then June comes, and you're like, everyone else is on vacation. Okay.
And that's why I feel very fortunate that I got to the point that now I have a team, right? Now I have somebody who runs the team, so I can still do the sales piece. I can, we fulfill, we do the services, we provide the services, we do the thing. But I'm still freed up to talk to more people, and, I'm in a meeting, my phone rings, I don't answer it, I call back, I get a sale. So, I'm very fortunate, but, it doesn't happen overnight, and it takes, it takes a lot of work. I mean, it does. So, but speaking of which, see, we're at an hour already. Like, I knew that was going to go fast. Thank you for taking time out.
Thank you
today, because I know you're always busy. It seems like
this year's been very busy.
That's good.
Yeah,
that's a good. Knock wood.
Yes.
They didn't bark. Okay, I thought they were going to bark. So, how do people find you?
LinkedIn. I think LinkedIn is like, I'm really active on LinkedIn. So Ron Ben Joseph. So first name Ron, last name Ben Joseph on LinkedIn. Or I do post on Instagram and stuff. But my website, artfulspeaking.com, one L in there, Artful Speaking. Just email me, or really LinkedIn is great. Just find me on LinkedIn. Let's chat. I'd love to hear what you have going on. Like, if you have a presentation or an interview or a podcast or anything you want, where you want to like expand, loosen up, like find your groove, find your authentic voice, I got you. I'm here for you.
There you go. And you can also get him through us, because he is our, he's our preferred,
like acting coach.
Preferred, acting coach, for all things video and acting. Okay. And the last question that I ask everybody: what lights your fire?
I'm singing tomorrow night. I have my show tomorrow, and I will be performing. I will be doing my Jim Morrison impression as part of my show. I still do this show with the tributes, and so I will be singing "Come On Baby" live. I didn't do it right. I'm like, the time to hesitate is through. So I will be singing live. But what lights my fire is singing. I went to an open mic last night. I did not do a great job. I'm rusty. I went way too fast. I was like so super intense. So I love the journey of becoming a better singer, or I like just working on my singing is what lights me up.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Cool. Well, thank you, Ron. Hang on one second. I'm going to say goodbye, and I'll be right back. Everybody, thank you so much again for hanging out an hour plus. You need help figuring out how to get comfortable speaking, get hold of Ron. He's just amazing at what he does. He truly is. He just makes you feel so comfortable, and he makes you feel so good about yourself. That's like the best part. If there was something that, stood out to you, this episode, just, leave a note in a little comment in the thingy below, like, share, subscribe, download, leave a review. Reviews are huge. So a review would be fantastic. And I appreciate you all continuing to watch. And I really appreciate the comments on, the guests that I get to I get to play with for this hour. I love them all. I think they're all amazing. I feel very blessed and grateful and that I get to do this. So thank you for continuing to listen and letting me to do this, allowing me to do this. And until next time, go out and find what lights your fire. See you.